Hi everybody, my name is Mary Grace Lewandowski and I am a company vice president for Parklane Jewelry. Very proud of that title, very proud to be with this company. And this is the beginning of our ITC. First of all, you are in the inside scoop because ITC is a special secret acronym for Introductory Training Class. And that's what we do here at Parklane in order to get you up and running. And my wonderful cohort, Deb Danielson, is taping this and helping me out with this so that we can do it in little parts so that we don't overwhelm you. And this first part, we're basically referring to it as welcome. And this will last about 15 minutes, okay, tops. So put your seatbelt on and get ready for the Parklane ride. And what I always like to start with when I welcome people to Parklane is the company background. Because I think when you know something about a company, you can represent it better. And I know after what I tell you, you'll be very proud to represent Parklane. And when we're proud of what we do, it naturally makes us better at what we do. So Parklane Jewelry is in its 60th year of business. It was started 60 years ago by Arthur and Shirley Levine, a little couple, 16 and 18 years old, married and knowing in that time that they wanted to open their own business. When they decided to open up their own business, and of course they had relatives around them saying they were crazy, just like probably you do or did, because I know I did when I decided to do this. And I hope I'm as crazy as they were. At any rate, they sent out 3 different, I always forget the word for it, but it's like people that would come back with advice for them. So they sent out 3 different professionals and they asked them, come back to us and let us know what kind of product or business you would recommend that we sell. And all 3 of them came back with a list, and on the top of each of their lists was #1 jewelry. And some of the reasons behind them deciding to open a jewelry company is because it withstands the test of time. I love that. It is easy to store and carry. And it's basically a consumable good, and that fashion changes so often that we're always going to have something new to show from season to season. So the same reasons that they chose jewelry are really good reasons for us to choose jewelry. And I found them all to be so true here in our business as well. Easy to store, easy to sell, withstands the test of time, all that good stuff. So 60 years ago, they start their company. The Parklane Jewelry in the Direct Sales Association News has been rated the #1 direct sales jewelry company in the world. And I have to tell you that 4 years ago when I decided to leave another direct sales company for Parklane Jewelry, I went and I interviewed with Scott Levine, our CEO, and I said, okay, I'm a little concerned though. You're based here in Chicago. I live in St. Louis, which is a 4-hour drive from Chicago. How can you be the #1 direct sales jewelry company in the world? And I've basically never heard of you. And he had a really good explanation, and little did he know that that was the one that really pretty much made my decision that I wanted to sell Parklane. And here's what it was. So, since the fruition of their company, they have had growth every single year. Sometimes it was just little minimal growth in a year, but always growth. But since 2002, they've had double-digit growth every single month. And here's why. In 2002, was when Shirley and Arthur decided it was time to pass the company on to their children. They had 8 children, and all of them in some capacity or another have worked for the company at one time or another. But the 3 sons, Mark, Arthur, and Scott, were the ones that were going to buy it and take it over. So when they took over the company, they decided that because it was a new era, that it was time to make some changes. And one thing they did, if you can even picture this, is it wasn't until 2002 that they got computers. So Arthur and Shirley were afraid that they were a fad, so they're not right about everything. They were afraid it was a fad, so it wasn't until 2002 that they brought computers into the mix. Okay, so that changed everything. And I think maybe even more so, if it's possible, what Scott did too was they lifted a rule, and they used to have a rule in Parklane. See, Shirley was a huge proponent of training, and she believed that you shouldn't be able to hire someone who didn't live within 50 miles of a really awesome trainer. And during her time, that was really true and a very good rule to have because she wanted great people out there representing Parklane. Well, because of the world has gotten smaller, we have computers, we have Skype, we have phones, we have things like this that I'm doing right now, that wasn't really necessary to have that rule anymore. And I'm going to tell you what happened to Parklane as a result of that rule. There was a time, just picture, 60 years ago, these little 20-year-olds get hired and they're selling Parklane. They're going great guns. There's great trainers here. Well, 60 years in, those same people and people around them would be, 60, 70, 80 years old. Well, naturally, people begin to pass away. They begin to retire. Things happen, right? Well, just picture, because it happens to me a lot. And when I have people sitting just physically with me for an ITC, there are people very often sitting here who live outside of 50 miles of me. And I'm saying, just think that I wouldn't be allowed to hire you, to bring you onto Parklane, because you live that far away from me. Well, naturally, as people began to pass away or retire, it was like a domino effect, because all of a sudden there wasn't a great trainer within 50 miles to train the new people, so it just went boom, 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 boom. So what happens here in St. Louis to all of us is we'll have people come in and say, oh my gosh, I didn't know Parklane was still around. I heard of them. Like, my grandma used to talk about them, or my mom talked about them, and they were so excited that I was coming. So the company was still around, but it had lost some of its market share because of the rules that hadn't caught up with the times. And that's why, since 2002, they've had double-digit growth every single month. So when my husband and I looked into this opportunity, we said, this is like the perfect storm, and it is for you too. Even better than when I started, because we thought, here we have a cash-rich, secure company. They have absolutely no debt. They own everything. They own their buildings. They own their land. They own the jewelry houses. They own the printing presses. They own everything. They're cash-rich, debt-free. That's totally unheard of in today's world. But on top of that, the other component was we had the gift of like a startup company, a company that we could come in and start here in St. Louis or wherever you are in the United States of America, not to mention the world, that we could start as a new company and like just have people hear about it for the first time. That will never come our way again. And the reason that I say that you new people are in a better place than we were is because your very best friends in the world are hesitant to invite you in to show something to their friends if they don't know what it is. So those of us who were at first in the resurgence, we had a job to do. We had to roll up our sleeves and we had to say, okay, we got to get out there and we got to start some market recognition for Parklane. And that ball has begun to bounce. So you guys that are coming in now, you get to come in and just take that ball and run with it, and you're going to have tremendous success. So the other thing I wanted to tell you about the background of Parklane is when I start to go through the programs, if you're normal, which probably most of you are, you're going to say, how can they afford to do what they do? And Scott's answer to that always is, do you really care? You want me to keep doing it? Yes, resounding yes, we want you to keep doing it, Scott. But if you are a person, analytical person, and you're like, how can they even afford to do this? The reason is because they are a family-owned company, which is very unheard of in this day and age. There's no board of directors. They keep their margins very, very slim. And they pay themselves, the family, at the home office, very, very slim out of the profits. Like 2% is what goes to Arthur and Shirley, the original owners. And then they have to put some other money, into new jewelry and into anything else that goes into a business. But bottom line, at the end of the day, about 78% goes back to the field. The field being the customer, the hostess, and us. And if you want to compare, you will find that the closest to that in another direct sales company is somewhere in the 30s, the 30%. So you are, if this is your first foray into direct sales, you don't even know that you've already chosen the best company. I had 12 years with a different company, and I know when I compare that I chose the best, that now I found the best company. So 78% back to the field, that's how they can afford to do that. The other thing I want to tell you about in the welcome portion of this video is that please know that we're going to give you a lot of information in a short time, but you don't have to remember everything. In fact, there's a lot of things I don't go over because until it's time, it's not applicable to you and you won't remember. We're a phone call, a text away, we're an email away. We have all kinds of different systems put in place so that we can help train you and help you be successful. And right in your kit, right when you open your kit, there's some things that can help you. There's a training video, which really helped me a lot. There's a easy guide, which is like basically a manual, and that will really help you a lot. Every once in a while I start to go through it again and think, hey, there's good stuff in here, okay? And there's all kinds of pamphlets and everything in your kit that you can read through. In addition to that, the computer is just, if anything, I don't want you to get lost in it. There's so much information there, but the computer is just, oh my gosh, it's just your oyster. You can go in there and just spend hours. Don't do that, but it's full of training materials. And in order to get yourself up and running, you want to register. And you're going to go into myparklane.com. That's myparklane.com, and you can register. As I'm sure your rep that's signing you up has already told you, it's a $39.95 registration fee to get you up and running. And once you go into myparklane.com and register as a new recruit, then you will be able to have some access to the fields that we have there available for you. Until we do your intro show, until we have in your intro show, you will not be official, so you'll be blocked from certain sites. But at this point, you can at least start to kind of go in there and look at what it is, the wonderful world of Parklane that you're becoming part of. So that pretty much concludes the welcome portion of the ITC. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're as proud as I am to work for a company like Parklane Jewelry. Talk to you soon.